I'm just combining a couple of questions here. Say during your time at Yahoo or at Urban Ladder, right? If you were to make three kinds of hires, someone who's very early in their career, someone who's mid-stage in their career, say with 6-7 years of experience, and someone who you're making a late hire, right? A senior PM, 8-10 years of experience. You share the critical skill sets that they possess, but is there something that you like to add that is specific to each of these, right? When someone's trying to break in, yes, I prepare for these roles, but something more tactical, right? It could be like, hey, this is where you can look for, or anything that you've learned, right? Something from your experience that you'd like to share separately for these three. Because I see like a couple of questions which are regarding hiring, how to break in. I'm just trying to combine that into one so that we could take the rest.
Sure. I think let me start with the later one, right? If I'm hiring a product leader, I think one, the sector, how deep is that consumer understanding, and what is their vision for the next 10 years, right? For example, I mentioned VR as an example. Now I have a particular view to how we are. Now I might be super wrong, it might bomb, but at least I have a particular point of view to how it should be, right? And how I would love to architect, and based on very deep consumer understanding, some level of metrics, some level of where the field is going. So I absolutely look for that in the product leader. Two is I would certainly look for what is their philosophy to people. Okay, because if you're a product leader, what are the cases of product managers that you've grown their careers? Who would swear by you? Who will and give me an example of something which didn't work per plan, something which worked per plan, right? This is two. Third is I would certainly test some level of understanding of other business functions. Because at that level, you're sort of directly working with the CEO. You need to understand how finance works. You need to understand how marketing works. You can't operate in a silo. So I would say that's the three for the product leader. For a mid, let's say senior PM level, right? Let's say if that's sort of that level, I would go deeper into maybe pick up a user experience example of what they like or what they love and try and understand what and why they do that, right? In terms of what is it that they like about that. So I would take on a particular problem statement in terms of, let's say, a particular sector or a particular case, and ask them everything from product strategy to what their MVP would be. Okay, in terms of why this would be the MVP or why this is the direction or this is the customer that they would go after. A third one might be, what is it that they would look for in driving the maximum output from an engineering leader who's their counterpart? Okay, how would they interface? How would they interface with engineers? Give all of this with some examples, right, from their past. So that's probably for a mid. For a starting product analyst, maybe a couple of years of experience, I would go deeper into problem solving, problem structuring, give a case, understand how they understand the thinking process of them. Two is certainly some level of either, there can be two kinds of people. One who's super strong analytically, one who's super strong in terms of the communication and articulation. Typically at that younger level, tough to expect both. If someone is both, that's a superstar, right? So I would pick which one and go deep into either a math problem or an analytics thing, give a lot of data and say, give me the actionable insights. If someone is more, let's say, outward oriented or customer research oriented, I would say go talk to 20 people who are this and tell me the insights. Okay, so that would be my second exercise. A third one would be to understand how they want to grow in their career. What is their ambition? Do they want to be a founder? Do they want to be a product leader? Do they want to become a business person? At that time, they probably are undergrads. You want to go to an MBA in 2 years. Tell me that. Absolutely fine. Tell me that. Right. So I think that's probably a third one I would use, just so that I can better align the role. Put it in one slide. I think it would be slide, right? As an associate or an analyst, right at the start, you're probably drafting use cases or making sense of a lot of metrics. The key there is not the quantum of metrics, but the quantum of insights, actionable insights for the product team, right? I think that's what you should focus on. If you're an individual contributor product manager, I think, even if you're doing a platform product or a backend product, I think an eye for user experience design is important. Alignment of folks, you start that skill right at that level. Don't wait for you to be a product director to have to do that, because you really are aligning a lot of people to build a great product. And I've given enough examples, right? Yahoo Cricket could have never been great if I didn't align everyone from business development to content management to marketing to provide the right traffic to all of it. Right? That's why Yahoo Cricket became #1 in cricket. It bet Cricinfo in that 2009-2010 time period. Right? As a team leader, product director, you are far more into evangelizing and managing people, and you're also somewhere setting the tone of product goals and measuring people and giving continuous feedback, right? Because if you don't translate your goal into your team's goals, you will never know whether you're moving ahead, right? And the last piece is if you're a chief product officer or founder, you obviously are also becoming a visionary in the space in which you're creating the product. At the same time, you're also inculcating a product culture into the organization, right? And that becomes a very different mandate from when you're a product analyst. I am trying to get my last slide, which is sort of what I call a mix of evergreen skills and I think I sign off here with one statement. Everyone as a PM wants to be the CEO. They see themselves as a CEO. They think that their neck is on the line, and don't take yourself too seriously is my input there. But I think the important PM skills, I think everyone in this who's a PM probably knows this at some level, which is prioritization, alignment with business, metrics and data, user research and experience, people alignment, and storytelling, right? This is not rocket science. I think everyone knows some avatar of this. But I would say in the next decade, if you're going to be building products, if you're going to go across the board from a product analyst to being a founder, I think these are skills which will become far more important. One, I think human psychology. I think every single great PM goes into the psyche of why a customer wants a particular product experience, whether that's an emotion of pride, that's an emotion of success, that's an emotion. What's the inner emotion that people are trying to solve? Which also essentially means, I think this decade, and it's already a trend in the Valley and more mature ecosystems. You're going to have far more fields rather than the standard background like my background, which is engineering MBA, to be great PMs, right? And today, 80-90% of the audience is still that, but you're going to get people from a variety of other backgrounds for sure. Two is, I think, designing for extremely new experiences, right? VR, I believe, is going to be huge in this decade. I thought it will be in the last 3-4 years. It's not to be, but I still think it will be in this decade. And designing for VR is a very different thing. Everything from user interaction to the making sure that the experience is great to the conversion is very different. You would rather be the India's best PM on VR rather than one more PM on everything else. I think that's a fair bet to make. Third is something I already said. Don't be just too anally focused on metrics, right? Because if you're too anally focused on metrics, I don't think you can 0-1 products. 0-1 happens in a lot of gut and intuition. It happens in a lot of deep understanding. If we had to go by data, I don't think we would have sold furniture online. The market size was 0. So you have to take certain bold gut calls, and data is not going to be the be-all. And if you're just going to be analyzing data and making decisions, a machine can replace you some point in time. So I would say make sure that you have all the other right brain skills. Last but not the least, PMs can tend to get cocky, imagining they're the CEOs of the product and everyone else do. I think that's not the way to look at it, and that's just an unnecessary ego boost for a PM. Have the same humility that every other person has in the organization.